All right, so we all heard the term getting it out the mud, right? But what does it actually mean? All right, I think sometimes too in this space, not this space, just in the world in general, we have a negative connotation with certain things. And getting it out the mud is actually a good thing. So today that's what we're going to talk about, getting it out the mud. Whether it's fitness and life, you know how we harmonize both and use the principles in one area to connect it to others. All right. So when you hear that, what it comes to your mind? Like, I'm struggling. But most people think that struggle is a bad thing or they did something wrong. And it's actually the opposite. When you're struggling, you're actually making your body adapt to what is new or what is at the beginning uncomfortable with. So that's what we really want to do, is getting out the mud. Allah in the Holy Quran says that struggle is ordained, and through struggling, that's what man knows his imperfections, right? Because the end goal is actually becoming perfect, quote unquote. Whether you believe in that or not, but just follow the principle of it, right? So, but before we get into that, I heard Myron Golden said something too. He said when you plant a seed, the seed actually puts it sprouts downward first, then it goes up, then it shoots up. I said, oh, that's interesting. So whatever you are, whoever you're becoming, you have to make sure that you're grounded. You know, what this got to do with the mud, right? It's a whole lot. It's about struggling and being grounded. I think most of us abort the process of life or the activities of living is because we're not firmly rooted. That's the point in getting out the mud. And the mud actually is a tools for purification. That's why people have mud bath. I know that in Islam, if it says that if it's not, there's no water there for wudu or ablution or wudu, right? You can take to mud because mud has a purifying element or property to it when you have it on your skin. So this is why getting out the mud is very beneficial for you. You know what I'm saying? So when you adapt with your when you're in the gym, for example, and you're putting on new weight, or when you're a beginner or beginners, we struggle. We're shaking, we're not doing as much reps, whatever have you. But the more we keep being consistent and practicing towards it or trying to improve, you see the rep that we once struggled with now becomes easy. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you want to look at it as well. And this is what gives you resilience and endurance. You know what I mean? Because because you're stressed out, you keep going because you see the big picture and something that you want to attain. All right. So it's the same thing in life, whether it's starting a business, uh, whatever it may be, business, relationships, it struggles. But that's how you keep going with resilience. You know what I mean? And don't get it twisted. It's not on the extreme end when it's the negative type of resistance. If it's just some shit that's toxic, then obviously leave. Right? Putting things in context. All right. So sometimes too, when it comes to life, we may if we loss of someone, divorce, these things too will help build us as well. Because it's the process of us doing a diagnosis of ourselves, but also we have a chance to reinvent ourselves. And that's one way the mud is beneficial as well. All right. So building your body, anything, just get it out the mud, right? So when you feel stuck physically, you know, mud is a thick property. I know back in the day we used to try to make mud cakes, imagination kind of thing. It's real sticky and it's hard. And sometimes you feel like that in life, like you're stuck, right? But how do we get unstuck? Get out the mud and now stop. Right? But you don't think about most times, like I said before, we always think about what's happening to us rather than looking at the situation as what's happening for us. All right. So when we're in certain situations or circumstances or trials and tribulations, which is on us and we feel like we can't move further, ask yourself, yo, what is this doing for me? It's character building during these processes that we often overlook because we feel like we can't bear the burden of the scope of what's going on. But like it says also too that, God doesn't put a burden on someone, a scope beyond you can weigh or wear. You know what I'm saying? So always think about it like this. It's a character building aspect to catapult you to something greater. As the saying goes that your attitude determines your altitude. So you fly as a month, high as a, that's a Kanye West line, by the way. All right. But this is how we go through because, like I said, it's character building and we definitely have to become more resilient. All right. And part of it too is neuroscience because even when, for example, we're pushing weight, right? This is why progressive overload is so important. I stress this a lot. I know there's a lot of stigma of about going heavy, but that's relative. You still want to be heavy going in a smart way, right? But as you progress, just like anything in life, it's funny. I never heard anyone say, I don't want any more money. There's some resistance to get more money too, as well, but you want more, right? Same thing in life. Get more, it's okay, as long as you're not glutton, right? But when you strength train, especially it's new to you, or you're getting out of your comfort zone, you actually develop neuroplasticity in your mind, and it also create more and new brain paths or synapses throughout your body. So this is the point where you're being stretched a little bit more or beyond your means. So yes, it's uncomfortable in the beginning, but it gets better over time. All right. If we just calm down and let let nature takes its place as we're going through the motion, instead of like, I don't want to say survival mode, but you're really trying to just get through it. If that's making kind of sense. I will have a senior moment there, but work with me here, right? All right. But this is what really getting it out the mud is. No matter how hard it is, you still have to push forward. And in that, you're building that endurance. All right. So whatever it is, whether it's a hard relationship, hard year, your body, building your body, these are things that you have to do in order to become the best self, become your best self. And shout out to Ta-Nehisi Coates because he had this book called The Beautiful Struggle. I had a friend said to me, Tristan, I ain't trying to struggle. I'm trying to live a soft life. I said, that's fine too, but you ain't going to grow. You know what I mean? And to get his books too, it's pretty good. All right. So I know that a lot of people don't want to get in the mud. Why? Because it is messy. You ever seen a pig pen? It's not very, very good. So, but also they do that because they want to be comfortable. Life is messy, but the question is, how do we handle it? That's all. That's all it is. How do you handle it and why you still want to be comfort? And if you accept that route, which is fine, don't be don't become a hater and mad because somebody else is actually doing the work that you could have done, but you refused to or you chose not to. All right. So, and also the term, what I like about the term getting it out the mud, it has one for self reliance, self efficacy, right? So it's you build your confidence when you are struggling because you're knowing more about yourself. That's what the uphill road is about. And by going uphill, you're actually freeing yourself from the things that was holding you back all along. When you deal with mathematics or nature, it deals with math. You either add in, subtracting, dividing, or multiplying. And sometimes we think that we have to do more. Actually, you just have to subtract the things that are distracting you so you can add, you know. So that's the part about getting out the mud that's real good. I think nobody talks about as well. It gives you that confidence that you're relying on yourself. And of course, as the saying go, God help those who help themselves. Because as you're taking that step, other people want to jump on and help you as well. So in the end, you're not really doing it on your own per se, but because you started that path, more people are inclined to help you. All right. And it shows up in your work and you're more confidence and hey, I can do it. So rely on yourself. No one's coming to save you. Put your head down and get to work. All right. And this is not just applicable in the gym, but into life as well. I've been a witness of that too. When I just be like, put my head down, fuck it. I just got to do it. And then before you know it, opportunities are coming up because I put my head down and start grinding and got myself out of certain situations. You know what I mean? And with trainers, I gotta look out for the trainers, of course. This is how we could always leverage that point. Because I was talking to a client the other day as well. I said the hard part is just showing up, being consistent. That's it. I said don't overcomplicate this training thing. I said it's not as hard as we make it. The hard part is just showing up. Once you show up, you're good to go and do the best you can for that day while you're there. You know what I mean? So, and also too, I keep a certain rep range. What I do, depending on, but I gauge my clients. My job is not to make them comfortable during the training session. When my client is cursing me out, I know I'm doing a good job. And that's a note for you guys as well. If your client is not cursing or cursing you out, telling you how much they love you during the session, you're not doing a good job. And it's just not to go to the extreme and beat them up or to have them tire out to feed your ego. It's just to push them past their comfort zone because they don't know what's hidden within them. And that's what you're there for. All right. So you're there for not to quote unquote hurt them, but to help them. And that what makes you a good trainer, and they would never forget you. Sometimes they leave and come back. And even if they will never forget the life lessons that you showed them, that they have the confidence to overcome trials and tribulations in their own life. All right. So you're showing them it's just not about building their bodies, but it's a mindset too that they become more self-reliant. All right. So those are the daily deposits that you want to give your clients. All right. All right. So another thing too, I heard an OG say this. Shout out to Master Teacher BGS. He says some people just want to remain caterpillars. Once you go through the mud, you're not the same person that you are when you first started, when you first went through it. It's something new. It's like a metamorphosis that happens, right? It's like a cocoon, that mud there, and then you come out to become a butterfly. It's a new person. And these are the cycles of life that you reinvent yourself with through these situations that you're going through. So never look at it as a negative. It's always like, who am I becoming? You know what I'm saying? Going through this, who's the person I want to become? And sometimes the person you got to want to become have to go through these things. You know what I'm saying? So never, never, not say never, but change the mindset or your positioning in it on the task at hand, because you're gonna come out a better person. And I think from that perspective, you have a better trajectory of it. Whether you going through a divorce, like I mentioned earlier, you lose someone, yes, these things happen, but like I said, how do you handle it? What's the lesson I can extract from this? You could become a better person. All right. And also, just by doing that, it changes your nervous system. Just by that, because now you're adapting to stress or you're handling stress a different way. So you don't feel it as much. All right. And it's the same thing with the weight. If you need some help, just ask for a spotter. Same thing in life. You need some help, ask for help. You have not because you ask not. All right. So never be ashamed of doing that as well. All right. And in the process, like I said, you're going to be upgraded because that's how you get better. We always talk about the 1% each day, and you want to do things that move the needle. And to do that, it's going to get messy. You have to go through some mud. All right. But like I said, mud is means for purifications because it's extracting impurities from your skin to make it look healthier and better. And you become a new you. And people gonna see your glow. All right, like Bruce Leroy. Get it, Bruce Leroy, I got the shirt on with Show Enough. And it's okay if you get tired along the way, that happens. But always recalibrate, reset, and get your rest and keep pushing forward because tomorrow's another day. All right. So same thing in the gym. What gets measured get managed, and what get ignored becomes messy. We trying to limit the mess over here. All right. So that's basically it. That's the secret that everybody's been keeping away from you. Just get it out the mud and be intelligent in how you move in the mud as well. All right. This mud is not quicksand. All right. So this is Alchemy Fitness, where we transfer you from lead to gold. Train hard, train smart, and train safe. Till next time. Peace.